Hello, everybody. My name is Jeremy. This is Red Me's Recording, and this is the Korg Volca FM version 2, a synthesizer that has caused me to have an existential crisis. Let's find out why. So first off, everything that you're hearing in the music for this was made with the Volca FM2. Recorded a bunch of tracks into Ableton. I'll be releasing the track on Patreon if you want it. I wanted to give this thing a fair shake as a compositional tool because I just felt bad. I felt bad about it. There's a lot about it that sounds really amazing. It is a full DX7 in a tiny form factor. It's got a great sounding reverb now, true MIDI in and MIDI out, and 6 voices of polyphony. So powerhouse little synthesizer, right? The reverb sounds great. It's a great addition. FM sounds really cold and digital without reverb. And now it sounds much better. The chorus is nice. It's got really cool motion sequencing, which is very immediate and fun to use. And because FM is such a complex form of synthesis, you can get some really, really interesting results with that. On top of that, there is a parameter randomizer. Let's see if we can do it real quick. Hit function. This is a terrible angle for this, isn't it? Function program random. And you can get variations on your sound very, very quickly, which I think is badass. The presets that come with it are pretty good. There's some really classic like E-pianos and stuff like that. You can hear this great pad at the beginning, and being able to just randomize the patch and get a different result immediately is one of the ways that I was able to create layered compositions very quickly. Why is this thing giving me an existential crisis? Well, I got to give a little bit of backstory. So I am in a unique position on this channel to have a relationship with some of the gear manufacturers that you know and love, Korg being one of them. I've worked with them a whole bunch, the ModWave, the Op6, the WaveState, and the ARP 2600. All of these are amazing opportunities, and I've been really, really impressed and happy with what they've been putting out. The ModWave, the WaveState, and the Op6 are some of the coolest synthesizers that are on the market right now, with a great UI and a lot of thoughtful design considerations for people. Those are great synths. The Volca series has always been a bit outside my purview. I had a Volca sample for a bit, and I did some stuff with it, but ultimately I found it a little too limiting for my taste, and then none of the other ones I really messed around with. But the Volca FM is interesting because, again, it's a very powerful synth engine shoved into a small box. Now, why does my relationship with Korg have anything to do with this? Well, I mean, I want that relationship to stay good. I want to continue working with them on stuff. And I hope that what I'm about to say about this thing doesn't make the Korg gods angry. You've heard what I like about it, and let me tell you why I was frustrated and why it led me to kind of question a lot about what I'm doing here on the channel. So when I got this, I opened up the box, and I was immediately faced with the fact that I didn't have any batteries. It does run on 6 AA batteries. I didn't have any in my box, and I also didn't have any MIDI adapters. These things take the 3.5 millimeter MIDI adapter. You can see it right here that I have one, but I had to dig this out. I had to find the right one, which is not something that a lot of people are going to enjoy doing. The MIDI adapter standard, there's a couple different versions of this, and not knowing by getting one from the manufacturer in the box is something that's going to frustrate beginners. And that's actually kind of the point I want to make before I go forward, is that the Volca series is presented as a sort of consumer electronic, fun for beginners device. But the choices that Korg made with the Volca FM2, and I'm assuming to an extent even more so with the Volca FM1, basically say, hey, no, this is going to be frustrating for beginners. And that started with the lack of MIDI adapters in the box. MIDI is sort of a dying standard, at least I hope it is, and MIDI over USB is the way to go these days. Now, would people have been pissed off if this had MIDI over USB and not MIDI like this? Yeah, because you can't make everyone happy. But when you think about the people who are actually going to buy this, you think about probably giving them the easiest and most approachable way of dealing with the device would be the best to do. So I had to buy a AC adapter for this, and then I had to find the correct MIDI in and out. Once I got MIDI working, meaning I could play it, I started thinking about the fact that this is a DX7, even more so than the original Volca FM, and that means that it can play DX7 patches, and it can play patches from Dext, which is a great free FM software synth. And so I started digging into that, and I soon realized that it was going to be really, really difficult to get patches over to this thing. Oscillator Sync, who's a good friend and also, and a wonderful YouTuber and musician and technologist and all that, actually created an editor in Chrome for the first Volca FM, and that will be working by the time that this comes out. But there's no official editor or librarian from Korg. I couldn't even get my $300 Midi Quest XL to work with this. And, granted, the protocols changed and they don't have the Volca FM2 instrument in there, but I was kind of hoping that it'd be a little bit easier to get like banks of DX7 patches just directly on this. Again, it goes back to this thing like, who is this for? Is this for a beginner, or is this for someone who's seasoned in MIDI and the sort of the, sysx world? Because I don't think that those two are really connected to each other. And I think that a lot of people who might get this are going to be like, well, if they're a beginner, are going to be like, yo, this thing is crazy. Like, what am I even supposed to do? Because we haven't even talked about editing patches on it. Now, Oscillator Sync's editor will work great for editing patches on it. In fact, he's got some really cool algorithmic generation tools for patches, and that's awesome. But editing on this thing, no, I'm not going to even dignify that with like a try. I poked around a little bit, and it's worse than the DX7. Like let's just be honest. Like, FM is a complicated synthesis model. The Op6 got it right. The new Op6 VST gets it right. But doing it on here, I don't have time for that. I don't have time. I don't have energy. I just can't do it. It's not fun. It's not cool. And I'm a sort of a seasoned professional. Like, it's like, if I don't want to do that, imagine a beginner getting this. It's in this weird place between a preset player, but also like it's hard to get presets on it. So it's like, it frustrates the hell out of me. And so I knew I was going to make a video that sounded like this because, Loopop's doing a video on it, and I think Oscillator Sync's doing a video on it, and that's going to cover everything you need to know about it from the in and out standpoint. However, I didn't really know like how I was going to talk about it in this respect. And I also, I wanted to make sure that I made some music with it so you could hear what it sounded like. But I was concerned. I'm like, I had to think about the fact that companies can fuck up, that companies can make dumb decisions sometimes with a product, even when they've demonstrated before that they've done a good job with a product. Like, again, Korg knows how to do FM. They have the Op6, right? The Op6 is the FM synth I would suggest to people over any other one that's out there. But this, like, it's like they took all of the things that they knew and were like, it's just a Volca, who cares? And that's really frustrating because inside this thing is a great sounding, powerful synthesizer that I think I will probably actually keep around and like include in some jams, because 6 ops of FM is a lot. Like, the Digitone is sort of like 3.5. The Op6 is 6. FM8 is 8. I'm used to like 4 and up, and you can just get these really cool complex sounds with 6 operators in FM, and that's what this thing can do. So from that respect, with the chorus, the reverb, the motion sequencing, there's a lot to like here. But the experience of using this thing is frustrating as hell. Let me give you just one more example of that, because I'm sure you want to hear it. The manual for this thing is done in that dumb fold-out way, like the old school, like you're supposed to fold out a full piece of paper and stare at it all at a graphic on one page. Please don't do this anymore, anybody. Like, just make a real table of contents manual. Like, it's so much better to look through. I cannot look at one of those things and like actually figure out what I'm trying to do. And that includes the fact that like there's no MIDI CCs listed on it. Like, give us all the information we need to use the device properly. How long have I been ranting for? About 10 minutes. Okay, well, I only had about 10 minutes of music, so that's all I'm going to say about this. At the price, this is probably the cheapest hardware 6-op FM synth you can get. 6 voices of polyphony, reverb, chorus. Again, it sounds great. If you can get over, or at least be aware of what you're going to be dealing with to get this thing actually working properly as an instrument in your studio in a fluid way, then this might be for you. If not, I hope we don't ever see the kind of compromise that went into the Volca FM2 in any further complex synthesizers. That's my take on that. My name is Jeremy. This is Red Means Recording. Korg, I love you. I really do. I would marry you if I could. My name is Jeremy. This is Red Means Recording, and I hope you have a wonderful day.